That right there is a spotted lanternfly. It came into the US from Asia around 2014, and since then, it's invaded Ohio as well as 17 other states within New England and the Midwest. Now, the spotted lanternfly essentially does its most harm when it feeds. It makes tiny incisions in the bark or stem of its host trees, and it sucks out the nutrients from its phloem tissue. Now, this might be relatively benign on its own, but the fact is that lanternflies, as you can see, never travel on their own, ever. They're swarm feeders, which means that when it's time to eat, they pile onto trees in groups of hundreds, sometimes thousands of individuals. They suck out huge amounts of sap, and they can compromise the trees greatly. Added to this is the waste they produce. After feeding, because their digestive tracts are only about yay long, they produce this translucent, sticky substance called honeydew that in large amounts, as can be seen here, can completely coat the trunk and leaves of its host tree before growing moldy in time. And this mold can choke the leaves of the tree and impede photosynthesis. This sort of double whammy of adverse effects has made the spotted lanternfly an extremely dangerous invasive pest. Now, spotted lanternfly is technically a plant stressor, which means that it does not kill its host plants directly. Nevertheless, the combined stress from its feeding and waste make it so that the trees that are infected by them get compromised more and more year by year, season by season, and eventually that means that many of them will end up dying. Now, it's been seen to feed on over 170 different kinds of host trees in its early nymphal stage. However, in all stages of its life cycle, it's been shown to prefer two. The tree of heaven, which is this specimen I'm standing right under here. If you'd like to identify it, it's got kind of a soft velvety leaf. Oh look, there's one. One ridge right at the beginning, smooth all the way down. Kind of a parallel leaf structure within its branches. Tree of heaven, by its own right, is also an invasive species. It came in from China in the 1700s as an ornamental. Aside from this one, we get to the real problem. Spotted lanternfly also likes grapes. Vineyards all over New York and Pennsylvania and New England have reported millions of dollars worth of crop losses, as well as extra costs from pesticide application, extra usage of pesticide, more cycles applied once spotted lanternfly begins invading their property. Now that's farmers. That's people with licensure to use these chemicals. But what about everybody else? What about people in the residential sector, right? We said they were a public nuisance. As tried and true as they are, inhabitants of residential areas are best advised to avoid pesticides altogether unless applied by a licensed professional. It's important to remember that household chemicals are, after all, chemicals, and the fact that they may look appealing when they're sold to you in stores makes them no different from other kinds of substances that could potentially veer out into streams, into sewers, into waterways, or perhaps more immediately, kill off non-target pests or insects, such as ladybugs and butterflies and lacewings, insects that you considered beneficial and even desirable in your home. It's for this reason that people in residential areas, like farmers, would do well to know about spotted lanternflies' climbing habits and exploit them. Instead of pesticides, homeowners will find better luck in the use of traps. The circle trap is one of the most effective traps for spotted lanternfly that's been found as of yet. A square of mesh material is folded into a conical shape and fastened that way, and it's placed along the side of a trunk. The tip of the cone is snipped off, leaving a small gap, and enough space is left within the cone so that the lanternfly can crawl up. This usually implies propping it open with a small piece of wood or a similar material. A receptacle, such as a plastic bag, a milk jug, a water bottle, is placed over top of the cone and their entrances are connected, leaving no space in between. It is important that the receptacle must be removable. The way the trap works is that the lanternfly will climb up seeking to reach the top of the tree. It'll go through the mesh into the receptacle. The narrowed nature of the cone will cause it to remain trapped inside the receptacle where it will then die. The receptacle can then be removed, emptied, and replaced as needed. Lampshade traps are also an incredibly effective way of reducing lanternfly population before they even hatch. 2 sheets of roofing material are selected, one slightly longer than the other. The shorter one is placed around the tree in a ring with the rough side facing outward. The longer one is placed over top of the shorter one with the rough side facing inward, not removing the adhesive material from either sheet. The longer one should have this sort of conical lampshade shape, if you will. Now, cotton or gauze or even towels are placed at the top of the lampshade to prevent any unwanted openings or accessibility points. The way the trap works is that, again, the lanternfly will crawl up, seeking a place to lay its eggs, and it'll hit the trap. It will realize that it can go no further. It lays its eggs within the lampshade, and the lampshade in turn can be removed, scraped to destroy the eggs, and replaced as needed. Now, one of the easiest traps to use, to maintain, to place and replace is the sticky band trap, otherwise known as the flypaper trap. The name kind of gives this one away a bit. A length of flypaper is wrapped around the tree, and a mesh material is placed over top of it to prevent as much unnecessary bycatch as possible, while at the same time leaving just enough leeway between the tree and the mesh so that the lanternfly can climb up. Now, while it is undoubtedly effective at stopping the lanternfly in its tracks, we also need to remember that flypaper does not discriminate. And as secure as the mesh material may be, as well made as the trap can be, it is almost certain that you will end up with one or two unwanted species of insect in your trap. So we have to be careful with this one. Aside from traps, cultural controls, otherwise known as people-centered methods of management, are essential, not just for residential owners, not just for farmers, but for anybody in the community to manage this pest. Removal of Tree of Heaven is one of the most crucial steps we can take to reducing the numbers of spotted lanternfly nationwide. It needs to be remembered that not only is this tree highly invasive, but it is also the lanternfly's preferred host even in its native range. Stump treatment, or hack and squirt, or any professionally done method of removal for this tree is essential in curbing generations of lanternfly from appearing not only in this season, but in all the ones that follow it. Egg mass crushing is another excellent method of reducing population. Now, while it is true that lanternflies tend to lay their eggs higher up and farther away than humans can tend to reach, destroying, scraping, or getting rid of any egg masses within the visible range is essential to reducing lanternfly numbers by dozens of individuals at a time. Kill on site policies as well. The lanternfly, as an invasive species, has been given a no exceptions kill on site notice. You can stomp them, spray them, run them over, anything you want, so long as they end up dead, and so long as no chemicals are used. It is important to remember throughout all this that this is a problem that affects all of us. There is no you or me or us or them, no community that is miraculously safe from the effects of this bug. It affects each and every one of us. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we work together to solve that, the better our odds will be of fighting against it.